Hola, bienvenidos al repaso de Preterito. Welcome to this review of the preterite tense in Spanish. I'm Senora Stanius. In this vodcast, Spanish 4 students will be looking at the preterite tense. We're reviewing this. Remember that it is used to talk about events that happened in the past. We will be focusing on those irregular verbs of the preterite tense. And we're going to start with first our use of the preterite. When are we going to use this? Past tense. I've given you this particular model. I see mad. Now you should be filling in your chart that has the preterito o el imperfecto. And you will see that I have given you some assistance for filling in this chart. I would recommend you write down the Spanish sentences so that you can see how this works in Espanol. First, we want to use the preterite for interruption. So, ellos bailaban cuando de repente la música terminó. That interruption of the music stopped. That would be why we use the preterite there. You know, C is countable actions. So, ellos bailaron una noche. M for specific moment in the past time. So, ellos bailaron a las 7:30 el viernes, hace 2 semanas. A will refer to action or actions that are completed or that are in a series of events. Ella supo que él quiso llamarla el otro día. Ellos se vistieron, salieron y fueron al baile. And finally, we will use the preterite when we are talking about a description of an event. For example, el baile fue divertido. Here are our AR preterite tense endings. So we have haste, o, amos, hastais, aron. And notice the accents in the first and third person. Hablé, hablaste, habló. Hablamos, hablasteis, hablaron. Our ER endings for those verbs, iste, io, imos, isteis, ieron. Once again, notice the accents in the first and third person. Comí, comiste, comió. Comimos, comisteis, comieron. Notice that our IR ending verbs have the same preterite tense endings. Once again, iste, io, imos, isteis, ieron. Escribí, escribiste, escribió. Escribimos, escribisteis, escribieron. Now we're going to get into our irregulars, and there are quite a few. Make sure you are completing the chart that you have been given as we go through these. We're going to start out by looking at those verbs that are irregulars only in the yo form. These are 3 different kinds of verbs. We have those verbs that end in car. We have, for example, with sacar, the yo form, yo saqué. And a couple of other examples, expliqué, busqué. There are also verbs that end in gar that have that change in the yo form. So jugué, pagué. And then our final set of these only in the yo form are the zars. That change then becomes empecé or almorcé. And remember, there are other verbs. Again, you just want to make sure you're looking at the ending. Is it a car, gar, or zar? Then in the yo form, they are irregular in the preterite. The next group we will look at are the third person irregulars. This first group is looks quite daunting, but it is verbs that are stem changing verbs. In the preterite, they have a stem change, but only in the third person, and that is both singular and plural. So durmió y durmieron. Él murió, ellos murieron. Él consiguió, ellos consiguieron. Usted consintió, ustedes consintieron. Ella pidió, ellas pidieron. Él prefirió, ellos prefirieron. Él repitió, ellos repitieron. Usted siguió, Ustedes siguieron. Él sintió. Ellos sintieron. Ella sirvió. Ellos o ellas sirvieron. Make sure also as you fill in the charts that you're writing down the meanings of these words in case you don't remember them. Notice I've kind of grouped them. They have the O to U on the top, and the rest are all E to I in that third person, singular and plural. The next group I call the super Y groups because these verbs, this group of verbs, have a Y that is only in the third person, both singular and plural, in the preterite. This happens when you take off the endings and you are left with these vowels. So that needs to become a Y. So, él cayó, ellos cayeron, ella creyó, ellas creyeron, usted construyó, ustedes construyeron, él incluyó, ellos incluyeron, ella leyó, ellas leyeron, él oyó, ellos oyeron. And again, make sure you're writing down the meanings, and if you do have questions, be sure that you are putting the questions in the Google Docs at the end of this podcast. Finally, moving on, we're looking at ir and ser. Remember that even though they mean two different things, in the preterite, they are both conjugated the same. So they are both. Yo fui, tú fuiste, él, ella, usted fue, nosotros fuimos, vosotros fuisteis, ellos, ellas, ustedes fueron. Another two verbs that are similar, but obviously not the same. You have dar, which is to give, and ver, to see. So di, diste, dio, dimos, distes, dieron. And vi, viste, vio, vimos, vistes, vieron. Notice in both of these there are no accents on any of them in the preterite. We are going now on to the groups at the bottom of your sheet. These are some common irregulars. Again, this is not the complete list, but these are the most common. Notice with all of these there are no accents in the preterite. This group is called the J verbs. So we have traer, decir, conducir, producir, traducir. And you will see that the J, and then these are an example with traer. So traje, trajiste, trajo, trajimos, trajisteis, trajeron. And notice in that trajeron, on all of these J's in the third person plural, there is no I. You drop it. So trajeron or produjeron, dijeron, no I in the third person plural. The next group are the U verbs. And you will see why they are called that as we look at how these stems change. We have estar, andar, poder, poner, saber, tener. Here is an example with tener. So tuve, tuviste, tuvo, tuvimos, tuvisteis, tuvieron. And again, all of them have the same endings in this group with, again, no accents. The last group is called the I group. We have querer, hacer, venir. I did put a star by hacer because it is different in that el, ella, usted form. The C changes to a Z, so el hizo. Otherwise, an example again. So quise, quisiste, quiso, quisimos, quisisteis, quisieron. Again, all of these do not have accents. There are some preterite keywords you should write down either in your notes or on your chart. These words will help us to know that we need to use the preterite forms of our verbs. These are, for example, anoche, anteayer, ayer, de repente, desde, hasta, pasado, and any kind of an example with pasado. El año pasado, el mes pasado, la semana pasada, any of those. Una vez, and also ya. So this concludes our vodcast. Please make sure you fill in the Google Docs at the bottom of this podcast. Y hasta mañana.